So here we have a A36 Bonanza panel that I've been wiring up on the bench, and I'll let you get a little better look at it. So if I back up, there's the panel. I don't have the G3X MFD installed right now, so the hole's there for it. But I've got the PFD G5 standby attitude. From the back here, you're seeing the GAD29B, which is an AirInc converter that allows the navigator, in this case a 750 XI, to communicate with the G3X and G5 system and the autopilot. We have a remote audio panel. I just happen to have it mounted on top of the 750 tray. The GPS antenna, which will be on the glare shield. And then down here is a 345 GTX 345 ADS-B in and out transponder. So on the back here, I've got all the wiring tied up. I really like building these harnesses on the bench. For one, as you can see, it looks fairly clean. I've got my service loop, so if I need to pull these out, they can go forward, and you can reach them from once it's in the airplane. I really hate when these are all tied up nice and tight and you can't get to anything except through little holes. Now that's one huge advantage of these big glass displays. Once the screen comes out, you've got this enormous hole that you can put your hands through and work and see what you're doing, even without pulling the glare shield off, which is convenient. Down here, I've got USB ports, one on either side. This hole is for the ELT that's already in the aircraft. This airplane's not even here at the shop yet. So once it arrives, then I'll finish test fitting the panel, match drill the holes to mount this to the frame, and then have this powder coated. But as you can see, I've got my routing. All my wire routing goes above the radios, which helps prevent any kind of control, the yokes or anything that's moving in the background to have a problem. This wiring here is going to go to the coil cord for autopilot for the pitch trim. Over here on this side, it's going to have a GDL69, which is currently in the aircraft. I'm going to be reusing it, but it's in the tail. I'm going to be mounting it right here. So I've got it rewired, ready for it. I've got my headphone jacks for the co-pilot. He has a Bose LEMO plug, so this wire is going to be going to the LEMO plug. And then all of the wiring comes down the co-pilot side. This is more LRUs. There'll be some, I'll grab them here. This is if you haven't seen one, this is the Adahars unit. This is a Garmin GSU 25 Delta. This is where the G3X gets its attitude reference and airspeed data. So on top, we've got static, AOA, and pitot. This is going to be mounted about here in the aircraft, and these are the connectors for it. And then also, this is the engine interface box. This is a GEA24, and all of these connections are what will connect the G3X to all of the engine sensors. Everything from CHT, EGT, fuel flow, fuel gauges, the cinders in the tanks, everything is here. This will also be mounted back here somehow. I haven't made the mount for this yet because I don't have the aircraft. Then we've got wiring coming down the side, down the pilot side of the aircraft. This wiring here, so all of this is going to go to the breaker panel that's on the pilot side, and then all of this wiring that's coiled up is going to go along the pilot side of the aircraft to the back, to the roll servo, to the pitch servo, to the trim servo, to the yaw damper, all of that in the tail. So anyway, that's a quick overview of how I wire these up on the bench. Another couple of really good advantages to wiring on the bench. I can test everything. So everything has been tested. I can verify that there aren't any issues before I stick this in the airplane. It really cuts down on the time that the aircraft is down, and it also improves quality. Because if I have to get into this harness in the airplane, it's just a pain in the butt. It takes longer. It will not be as clean once this is in the airplane. If I have to rip all this out, it's much more difficult to get it looking back like this. So really nice. Everything's programmed. All I have to do when I get it in the airplane is calibrate the fuel, calibrate the AHRS and the magnetometer, and this airplane will be ready to fly. So downtime is drastically decreased. Once this Bonanza shows up, and he's getting, as you can see, full panel, dual G3X, audio panel, full rewire, 750, transponder, remote COM2. So COM2 is actually going in the tail of the aircraft. The coax for the number 2 COM is going to be about 3 feet long. So very short coax, should give us really good, clear communications on COM2. And then down here, the autopilot head goes here. I don't have that in, but I have it wired, I have it labeled, so it is ready to plug in. So once this aircraft shows up, it'll take me a couple of days to rip all of the old equipment out. Once all of the old equipment's out, then it'll take approximately 2 to 3 weeks to complete the project. A lot of shops take up to 6 months to do what I can do in a month. And what you see here, this is about, I don't know, 3 days of work so far to get where I've got now, not including designing the panel, sitting down with the customer, figuring out the layout. But there's a lot of front end work that goes in before we ever cut a panel. In this particular airplane, I mean, I even talked to the owner. I normally put these displays a little bit higher up in the panel. And he was discussing, he's not, torso wise, not as tall. No, excuse me, he is taller. So he was saying that it's hard sometimes to see the annunciators in the panel that he has now up here. So that gave us the option to lower the displays in the panel. So now there won't be any blind spots looking over or having to look under the glare shield. So that has, just in the design element, that's been eliminated. So a lot of front side planning, a lot of logistics on the front so that the airplane is down for as little time as possible and then can be put back in service and enjoyed.